What's up? What's up? What's up? It's Marcus Cotto and Mike Mendez with Aesthetic Business. What's up, man?
Good, man. How about yourself?
Dude, tired, man. Tired. I'm hungry. I was supposed to go to Crackle Barrel, man. I almost got there, and when you had texted me, and I was like, shit. And I started looking for my wallet, and it was gone. I was like, damn, I got to come all the way back anyway. So, so I'm super hungry right now. But yeah, everything's good, man. It's just been a weird year, just with the official start of the recession, right? I think that's day one, right?
Yeah, I think today's July 3rd, so we're on day 3 technically of how we're supposed to be going through it.
Oh man, it's crazy. But that's kind of funny, man. But anyway, with this topic, we're gonna talk about just open doors right here. We're gonna talk about one of the worst deals I ever did, and this is like, again, I'm a real estate guy, so we're gonna talk about one of the worst deals I ever did, right? And just forcing numbers when they kind of don't work out. In my case, it kind of worked out, but I'm just gonna give you all the scenario. It's just like being too eager to jump into things, and you should just back out, right? Anyway, you got anything on that, Mike? You got any experience when it comes to just like forcing things when they shouldn't just be done?
Man, that's how I do things, man. I run with my head down like a rhino. That's how I got my rental property. We just kind of had a problem. It's like, we go here, and then we just did it. So that's how I live my life sometimes. It's just, we'll figure it out.
It's on the edge.
Yeah, like, it's one of the ones you make a mistake, cool, I learned. And if not, we made it. We got a good success story. But if not, I'm going to learn one way or another. So
I heard that, man. Dude, I run the same way, man. But, okay. So we're going to make this super quick with this podcast, just so that y'all know that people fuck up, right? But you just got to learn from that. Like, you can read all the books about real estate or whatever you want. But again, it's OJT, all right? You got to get in there on the job training. You got to get in there and actually do it, because like just new things just come up all the time, right? So anyway, if y'all heard the last podcast talking about the solo 401ks and the entity to do that, the ability to buy real estate in that. My first deal with this was a condo, right? In good old Florida, man. So with this, I was like, okay, this is a great location. It was an up and coming condominium place, one in one bedroom, but it had like a nice loft right there. It's a nice place, right? The problem is at the time, this is what, 2016, right? The place was about 107. It was $107 or $104,000 at the time, right? But the thing is, if y'all don't know, I don't like condos. I don't do those things anymore. It's because of the HOA fees, right? So here I am, and when you do these types of deals, right? And again, I've already had like 1 or 2 deals under my belt, right? And I was just like feeling myself out, and I was like, okay, let me see what I can do with this new entity. Well, the rules were a little bit different, and you had to pay a little bit more up front with the non-recourse loan. Sometimes they're about 30 to 40%, because again, it's just the asset. There's no credit, there's no nothing. Everybody walks away clean if it doesn't perform. But anyway, man, Mike, what do you think my percentage, my RI was on that? What do you think? Forcing the numbers, knowing who I am, what do you think the numbers were?
I'm going to say probably not good. If where you're saying this is your worst one and where you're at now, I'm probably going to say like it's probably like that's why the laughter's coming, because it's not funny. It's just kind of like it was a lot of learning that had to take place.
Yeah, man. Honestly, this one's earning me. It's kind of embarrassed to say this. Jesus Christ. At the time, I was so eager to get into it and just get into this location. I was willing to take 5%.
Wow.
A 5%, and I was banking on the equity because of the location, right? I was like, because I was listening to a lot of people online. Again, this is why I don't like to listen to a lot of things. And actually it stuck out. One thing the guy said was like, hey, sometimes you got to do the deal to get the location, because, you know, the location is going to be secure if you see the future. Like, if you got to see the vision with real estate, think 5 years minimum, right? And that's what I was banking off of, man. But dang, I was like, so I was at the point where anything broke, I was losing.
Ooh.
You know, you see what I'm saying? So if anything, like anything needed repair or anything, I was losing. But I was like, man, I would never do this again, right? So now I have a higher bar for myself. But looking back at this deal, it's again, we talked about it. My fruition kind of paid off, right? So now, years later, this place has appraised 80 to 90,000.
Damn.
Right. So I kind of like lucked out on a little bit with that, with just the little experience that I had. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, 5%, man, that's, again, I know your numbers where if you won't even, someone comes with you like that, they ain't even a certain number, you're not even looking at it. So that's why it's kind of funny. Because I already know you already where it's not that number, you're not even entertaining it. So that's, I mean, that shows the growth. But more importantly, man, those HOA things they scare me, man. I don't like them, man. It's just because you don't know what you're doing sometimes, man. Sometimes it's, I've had some personal deals with real estate where I'm trying to sell a property. We're going in to buy it, and the HOA kicks it out because it just becomes too much money. You know, you got these things, or you know, there's so many little variables sometimes with the HOA that it always brings a caution for me, at least. And I can't imagine a condo with HOAs or what that even look like.
Oh my gosh. So the thing is with condos, this is why I hate doing them. Condos and townhomes, I don't like them anymore. Townhomes maybe because they're a little bit less with the HOAs, but they only go up. They never come down. HOA fees only go up. They never go down. And it's just always something. And it honestly takes a big chunk away from your cash flow. Like I hate it. So if it was up to me, I was actually thinking about selling this deal. I hit my girl, Bree up. Shout out to Brittany, one of the best real estate agents out there in Orlando. But yeah, she's awesome. But no, I hit her up and I was like, yo, I'm thinking about selling this place. But then, you know, here we are going through this whole little shebang, and Florida's booming, right? So I'm just going to hold on to it for a little bit longer. But again, this is one of those things like, hey, don't force deals, right? But if I had to go back, I probably wouldn't have did this deal. I would have probably used this and got a different location, right? But again, it worked out in my favor because I knew the location. I go there all the time, and I just knew what was going on and building around there. But will I do it again? Hell no. It's too risky.
Yeah.
Because it's too fucking risky, right?
Right.
Talking about living on the edge, man.
Well, what are some of the things that you learned beyond that? Like, hey, don't force the deal. What are probably some of the things that, if let's say you had to stick with a deal, but with your knowledge now, you might be able to finesse it, maybe get a little bit more instead of 5%.
Oh man, dude, I did this deal a lot differently, negotiated way differently, right? I had some bad property managers at the time, you know what I mean? Again, just getting into the whole real estate thing, moving from short-term rental over to long-term rental. So it's kind of a different game. But I probably, if I can do that deal over, at least at bare minimum, at least 11, 12%, you know? Mm-hmm. But this actually was the time, if you see my last podcast about the 401ks, this is exactly the time where I lost all that cash just because of spoken word. You know what I mean? So I was eager to get out and get into somewhere else. Just put it that way. And it kind of cost me a little bit just with less discipline, put it that way.
Do you think that maybe, because you just had that, where you had that issue where somebody was saying something and okay, you just lost pretty much money in a sense. Do you think that maybe the drive of it was fear based versus kind of inexperience?
I wouldn't say fear. I would more say like intuition to know like, hey, this is not a safe place to be. You know what I mean? It's kind of like where, you just know this is not a safe environment. I need to get out of here. So it was kind of like that's the experience. That's what the feeling that I had. I wouldn't say fear. I just knew something was like, okay, the regime's taking over. This ain't where your shit should be at right now. Right? Go over here. And then it just worked that way.
So do you feel for you now that you have your money in more real estate, do you feel like you're not really as worried about somebody saying a thing or somebody having some kind of press conference? Do you feel like no matter what, your money is staying where it's staying and you have more control over it? Well,
I just look at the history, man. It's kind of got everything spread it out, but a lot of it in real estate, but and it's how you move in real estate, right? So maybe you're just talking about it. After 2020, I had to change my strategy up when it came to real estate. Now I'm not buying in this crazy area. I'm buying in this area where I know it's going to be like this because over time, that's what it's shown, right? So I would just say a lot smarter, definitely, with everything.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think it's good to have a bad deal under your belt because if you don't have a bad deal, then what do you have to reference, like the growth, right? So the growth.
Yeah, honestly, yeah, go ahead.
I was just say okay, so you have the growth, but also, man, those are lessons learned that they're not repeatable because they're just ingrained in you from the start. Would you agree?
Yeah, I honestly can't even listen to nobody if they haven't had a bad deal under their belt or had some kind of panic, right? Nothing's perfect in real estate. I mean, dude, if you haven't had any bad thing happen to you in real estate, then good for you. But I find that impossible. So but I do appreciate the bad times because they've taught me a lot. And it actually, again, with this new deal I just did, it helped out a lot because of those experiences.
Yeah, I think that's key, man. I think, like you said, if you don't have a bad deal in real estate, man, you must have either done 1 or 0 because, man, it's anywhere you turn, something can always turn into bad, something to be good. I know my first deal, I lucked out, but that's why I'm kind of taking more time to start learning more because I know it's just a matter of time before it catches up with me that, hey, you got lucky, but the next deal, you may not get that lucky and then you're in trouble. So I think that's also key is to know when you got lucky as well.
Oh, 100%, man. But you got to learn from that. You just, again, just don't try that. It's good. It's okay to fuck up. But then if you don't learn from that, then that's when we have a problem. You know what I mean? And you know me, when for me, my renovation or my style of just doing things has just gotten more efficient, right? Let's just, when I go into a building now, I'm like, this needs to be done, but I can turn it super quick now because I have my own formula. You know what I mean? So and it just works out that way. So everybody just has to figure it out, what's best for them. There is no wrong way to do real estate, right? But again, forcing things is just not the way to go, and that's just where I just want to take on that.
Okay, and then lastly, as we start wrapping this up, you mentioned that do not force a deal, but also OJT, right? So that's for us military guys. We know that's the only way to do business. You just gotta get in and get your hands dirty. What do you think is a way to do both of those, or to mitigate forcing a deal at the same time frame, just getting in there and getting a deal done?
Again, okay, so this is going to be a case by case scenario, case by case deal. You just got to weigh your pros and cons. In mine, and for me personally at the time, right? I knew the money, the cash flow wasn't where I wanted it to be. I knew that off the top. So I went another route and I just started thinking how can I get this deal and does it make sense? And I was like, okay, they have this building over here. This gem's over here. Boom. This is how much populations have growth. You got to look these things. You got to do your due diligence, and that's what I did. But that easily could have went south and people could have just moved away. Right. Some people could have just not moved to Florida, or just this place could have just crime could have just went up and then it could have just went to shit. Then my plan would have been gone. Right. So you got to think about those things too, man. So you just got to know what you're dealing with, and your realtor, whoever you're dealing with, needs to be solid, solid.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I think that's key. The most important part is having your team. Like you mentioned already, having a bad PM, but you back. You know, what I mean, if you got a bad PM, property manager, and they don't have the connections for a plumber, or they don't have those things, or
Mm-hmm.
even some have tried to rip people out for the plumber. They try to charge you $2,000 extra, or those things happen. So again, that was key. One that you mentioned is having a proper management crew. Right? It's okay to be inexperienced. It's just not okay to not do your due diligence. Right?
Yeah, 100%. Right. So again, if you have to get dirty, you have to get in there. Don't just take people's words for it. Double check everything, right? Double check pricing. If you have PMs or whatever, I always ask for an items list, right? What did you spend it on? Let me see it. Because they will charge the extra fee, right? Or if you build a relationship up, you don't have to use their vendors because they are in cahoots with them at times. But this is why you ask for the items list so you can see what's being charged and everything like that. Don't just be like, you know,
Nope.
then that's how you get your cash flow starts getting dwindle.
Yeah, and then the itemized list, you'll be surprised if you start asking a contractor for an itemized list, how many of them do not submit bids at
Oh,
all? Either because they don't know how to do it, or B, they know what's up.
yeah, me and Mike been through it. We should actually do a podcast on just bidding for contractors and the importance of itemized listing. And this rule number one, if you go to a contractor and they're like, hey, and you're like, I want this deal done and blah, blah, blah. Okay, let me get an itemized list of all the materials, the time that's going to be put in, how much manpower, and this is what you got to do. And if they run, they are not your person. They are not your
Yep.
person at all, right? And compensate them for that. If they do it, give them like $100 or something like that for that because it takes time, right? But at least you'll see the breakdown of the numbers. If they don't want to provide that, we should like talk about like some of that stuff.
Yeah, because the best part is they'll all tell you, like, yeah, I got this. I'll have it tomorrow by close of business. I haven't heard from a dude for like 6 months already. Still waiting on his phone call.
Yeah, itemized
so,
list, no phone call.
nope. But he's on social media talking about he just finished another project. So I'm watching him. I see it. It is what it is. Cool. Anything else, brother? You want to talk about this one?
Oh no, man! I think it's just one of they just get that out there. Just like, hey, everybody just had their own experience, but this is the experience is what gets you to the next level. So just again, be a risk taker. Just don't over, leverage and don't and don't put yourself too thin. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. We are not financial advisors. These are just our experiences from the Crips. All right.
Yep. All right, brother. Till next time.
Yep.